How to repair a scythe blade. A common cause of damage to a scythe is striking the blade against a rock, wire fence or similar solid object. This can tear apart the soft cutting edge, as you can see I've done here. Don't worry if you've done this, it's easy to do, particularly when mowing in rough areas where you've not mown before. In this video, I'll be sharing how to repair a scythe blade when this happens. Don't use the blade now that it's damaged until you've properly corrected the cutting edge to prevent further damage from occurring. The first thing is to bend back that metal which is curved up. I find that easiest to do with a whetstone. If you put the whetstone on the blade where it's curving up, you can just apply pressure to re-bend it round. If you hold you can either just slide it down to re-bend it down or hold it onto rib and bend it down. I did this before I thought about filming, but it's a fairly easy step to do. Clean the blade so you can easily see the damage and to see what you're working with. Whilst doing this, inspect the blade, looking for fracture lines and the way that the metal is bending. If the metal is bending up, then I would place the blade on a flat anvil and use a bar hammer to tap down that metal back onto the flat. So you've got the metal bent up away from the anvil. If the metal is bent down, then I'd instead turn your blade upside down and put it on a bar anvil and use a flat hammer to tap it down. So again, you've got your metal bending away from the anvil and you're going to tap it back down towards the anvil. So in my situation, the metal is bent down underneath the blade, so I'm using a bar anvil and a flat hammer, just tapping that metal down back into its original position. It would be safer using gloves at this point, but I always forget. You may also want ear protectors, particularly when peening later. But there are tips which you should be doing. I sometimes forget, sorry. Now that it's back in shape, the edge is very jagged. We want to file away any parts which are jutting out, otherwise they may snag when scything and rip off large parts of the cutting edge. If you've got one, try and use a fine-grained file, similar to those that you use on chainsaws. If any fracture lines across the blade, then use your file to take these out, make a little triangular shape, again so it doesn't rip off large chunks of the blade when in use. You just take out any of those fractures now. It's better to have a little bit of the blade missing than to tear off large parts of the blade. And over time, those bits that you've taken out will all slowly come back anyway as you start to pull more metal down during peening and honing. I'm now testing the edge of the blade by running a stick across it to see if there's any parts which are jutting out which may snag when in use. Whilst repairing the blade, it's worth doing a general service and remove any rust. Again, look out for any fractures when doing this. Now that the blade is repaired, it's time to peen it again. I have a video on peening that's worth checking out. I also fix a fracture in that video. You can see that the very edge of the blade still has a hole in it, and this part of the blade won't be cutting the grass. Don't worry, over time as you peen and hoe the blade, this metal will be drawn down and the gap will disappear. This is the blade after just 1 or 2 days of mowing. Already you can see that the gap is disappearing. You can now get back to mowing with a repaired blade. Remember to check out my videos on learning to scythe and my other videos on permaculture and living history. Thanks for watching and see you next time.